Hello everyone, कैसे हैं आप? So in this video we are going to discuss the questions on calculus. These questions have appeared in JEE Mains 2021. So again will be I am taking the best questions which have appeared in 2021 mains exam. So again this will be a good revision for you. So let's start with the questions now. So the first question, very interesting questions. You can see here we have a question set S. You have to find the number of possible functions from this set S to S such that f of m into n is equal to f of m into n f of n for every value of m and n. Okay, m and n belongs to set S only. M into n is also from S set, and this is also from set S. Okay, so you have to count the number of functions which satisfy this equation. Correct. So you just observe here. You can see, if I'm saying this function is defined from set 1, 2, 3, so on to 7, that means if I have, let's say this is the elements 1, 2, 3, and so on 7. So you can clearly see the numbers will be defined, the functions will be defined from the set S to S. That means the domain will be only this and the codomain will be this. That means range will only be from the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct? This is the fun observation. Second thing you can see, we have to find number of functions. So we have to find the possible values, that how we can map 1, how in how many ways I can map 2, in how many ways I can map 3, and so on. Correct? So now see, if you just observe, it is given that f of mn is equal to f of m into f of n. Correct? So you can see, first thing, that if I put m and n both are equal, then what does this imply? F of 1 is equal to f square 1, and this implies f of 1 is equal to, now f of 1 can be equal to 0 also, f of 1 can be equal to 1 also, but here it cannot be equal to 0. Why? Because in the codomain we don't have 0. Correct? So what is the possible value of f of 1? This is only 1. So that means ultimately 1 will definitely be mapped to 1. 1 को हमेशा 1 से ही map होगा. Correct? Now we will see the other values. If you just observe again, so you can see here, let's say if I put m is equal to 2 and n is equal to 2. If I put m is equal to 2 and n is equal to 2 here, so you can again observe here, this is f of 4. This will become f of 4, and this is f of 2 square. Correct? Now you can see again, f of 4 is f of 2 square. That means f of 4 will be a perfect square, because f of 2, it is any number from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So what are the possible options? You can see, if f of 2 is equal to 1, then f of 4 will also be equal to 1. Correct? If f of 2, I'm just writing different options for f of 2. If I say f of 2 is equal to 2, then f of 4 will definitely be equal to 4. You can see f of 4 is right. If I say f of 2 is equal to 3, then f of 2 cannot be equal to 3, because you can see in that case this will become what? This will become f of 4 will be equal to 9, which is not possible. So you can clearly see the possible options for f of 2 will be either this or this, and accordingly this is f of 1 or f of 4. Correct? This is clear. Now if you just again observe, so we have taken f of 2, we have taken f of 4, right? Now let's see, if you put m is equal to, now let's say if I take m is equal to 2 and n is equal to 3. Correct? So now this will be f of 6. F of 6, this is equal to f of 2 into f of 3. Correct? Now see, you start the sequence. If I say f of 2 is equal to 1, then f of 4 will be equal to 1. This we have already seen here. F of 2 is equal to 1, f of 4 is equal to 1. Then in that case, f of 6 will be equal to f of 3. correct? F of 2 will be equal to 1. So this is one case, right? And if I say what are the possible values of f of 3, so I can say this implies f of 6 is equal to f of 3, and it can be any value 1, 2, 3, and so on 7. It can be any value here. Now if I say f of 2 is equal to 2, then f of 4 will be equal to what? F of 4 will be equal to 4. And if I say f of 6, so what is the corresponding value f of 6? F of 6 will be equal to 2 times f of 2 is 2. So this is 2 times f of 3. And from this you can see f of 3, it can be equal to, see, f of 3 can be equal to 1, f of 3 can be equal to 2, because then in that case this will become 4. F of 3 can be equal to 3 also, because in that case this will become 6. F of 3 cannot be equal to 4 now, because in that case this f of 6 will become 8, and it cannot be 8 outside this, correct? So I can say here f of 3 can be 1, 2, or 3. This implies f of 6 will be equal to either 1, 4, 1, 4, and 6. I hope this is clear. But always remember, if you are fixing f of 3, then automatically f of 6 will be fixed. If you have fixed, let's say for example, f of 3 is equal to 2, then it will definitely be fixed at f of 6 will be equal to what? If I say f of 3 is equal to 2, this will become 4, correct? Now, what are the terms remaining? You can see 5, 7, 5 and 7, right? We have got f of 1, f of 2, f of 3, f of 4. We have f of 5 and f of 7. Now see, 5 and 7, you can clearly see 5 and 7 can take any value among these, 5 and 7, because f of 5, what is f of 5? It can be any value here. There is no condition. You can clearly see here, if I put m is equal to 5, this is n equal to 1, I can write this is f of 5 is equal to f of 5. That means I can take any values. So f of 5 can be 1, 2, and so on. That means 5 can be mapped to anything. And same logic, you can say f of 7 can be mapped to anything. Okay. So these are the conditions. Now we will count the number of functions. So now see, if you have to count the number of total functions, you can see in how many ways I can map one. I can map one in only one way. Okay. So let's shift this a little bit, and then we will write here. Okay. Yes. So now see, we have to find total number of functions. So you can see f of 1 to 1 से map है, 1 को किसी 1 को map 1 से map करना पड़ेगा. In how many ways I can map 1? Only one way. Now in how many ways I can map 2 ways. Either we will have this case or this case. So there are 2 different cases, because according to this we have some situations, according to this we have some situations. So I will have 2 cases. So let's talk about this first case. So total number of functions will be equal to, let's say if I take 1 is mapped in how many ways? One way. 2 can be mapped, if I take the first case, again one way. I'm mapping 2 to 1. In how many ways I can map 3? So now see, in how many ways I can map 3? In this case, I can map 3 in 7 ways. I can see I can have 7 ways, right? So 7. So this is ways of mapping 1, 2, 3, now 4. So in how many ways I can map 4? Again only one way. Why? Because f of 2 is equal to 1, then definitely f of 4 will be equal to 1. Now in how many ways I can map 5? So you can see I can map 5 in 7 ways, right? So this is 7 ways. Now in how many ways I can map 6? So 6, where is 6? Yes. So 6 in how many ways? Now see, f of 6 can have 7 values, but always what we have written here, f of 3 और f of 6 क्या होगा? हमेशा equal होंगे. That means in how many ways I can map 6? Only one way. Why one way? Because जो वैल्यू आपने f of 3 को दे दिया है, वही वैल्यू आपको f of 6 को देना पड़ेगा, correct? So 6 can be mapped in only one way, right? And 7, right? This 7 can be mapped in how many ways? Again 7 ways. right? So these are the total number of functions in the first case. Now the second case, in how many ways I can map 1? Only one way. In how many ways I can map 2? Only one way. You can see f of 2 is equal to 2. In how many ways I can map 3? In how many ways I can map 3? Only 3 ways. You can see only 3 ways. In how many ways I can map 4? Again, only one way. In how many ways I can map 5? 7 ways. In how many ways I can map 5 के बाद क्या 6. In how many ways I can map 6? तो again you can see जो भी वैल्यू आपने 3 को दे दिया उसके corresponding f of 6 फिक्स हो गया. तो again only in one way. And in how many ways I can map 7? It will be only 7 ways. So I hope this is clear. So you can see the total number of functions will be, what is this, 7 into 7 into 7, 7 cube, which is 343. And what is this? This is 21 into 7, that is 121 into 7, right? So this is, yes, 147. So you can clearly see this is 0, 9 and 4. 490. So total number of functions will be 490, which satisfy this condition. This was a real difficult question if you consider mains questions. Okay, so this was one very good question which was asked in JEE Mains 2021. So I hope this is clear. You have to just make the cases. Basically, the idea is you have to just satisfy this condition and make the cases according to this, right? So now let's move to the next question. I hope this question is clear to you. So the next question is, okay, let f and g were defined from n to n, that is natural to natural, such that f of n plus 1 is equal to f of n plus 1 for every value of n natural number, g be any arbitrary function. Which of the following statement is not true? You have to identify which of the following is not true. Correct? Now we have the options on f and g and their composition f of g also, right? Now see, first we observe if a function is satisfying this condition, f of n plus 1 is equal to f of n plus f of 1. What can you comment on this function? What type of function this will be? Okay, so if you just observe, this is true for only natural values. So I'll start with natural values only. Domain is only natural value. So let's say if I put n is equal to 1. So you can clearly see this is f of 2 is 2 times f of 1. If I put n equal to 2, this is f of 3. Now what is f of 3? If I put n equal to 2, this will become f of 2 plus f of 1. And f of 2 is 2 f of 1. So what is f of 3? You can see this is 3 f of 1. Same thing you can apply. Let's say if I put n is equal to 3. If I put n is equal to 3, you can see here, this is f of 4. F of 4 will be equal to f of 3 plus 1, f of 1. And f of 3 is 3 f of 1. So you can see this is 4 f of 1. So you can see here, if you just observe f of 2 is this, f of 3 is this, f of 4 is this. So can we say f of n or f of x, you can say f of x is equal to x times f of 1, where x is some natural number, because in the question it is mentioned that the domain is only natural number. So this is the function f of x. Correct? Now if you observe here, first thing you can see, f is a 1-1 function. Can we say f of fx is a 1-1 function? You can clearly see if you take this any value of x, you will get only one value of y, and no two values of x will have the same value. Correct? So for example, if I put x is equal to 1, so this will be f of 1 will be equal to f of 1. If I put x is equal to 2, this is 2 times f of 1, which will be different, f of 3 and so on, right? And you can see here, so what is this? This is you can see this is a 1-1 function, because every value of x will give you different value of y, right? So this is a 1-1 function. This statement is true statement. Okay, we have to find not a true statement. Okay, now see and see f of 1 cannot be 0. If you are thinking that f of 1 is equal to 0, which is not possible because this function is defined from natural to natural. That means it can have only a natural value. Let's say, for example, it is 2, it is 3, or any value, whatever value. It will not be 0. Correct? So that means it will always be a 1, 1 function. Okay. So this is the first option we have checked. Now let's focus on this, because in these two options we have to just comment on function f. If f is onto function, then f of n will be equal to n for every valued natural number. Now see, it is given that if fx is onto function, what is the condition for onto function? For any function to be onto, the domain and range should be equal. Now if you just observe here, if you put any natural value, let's say if you put x is equal to 2, this is f of 2 will be equal to 2f of 1. If I put x is equal to 3, this is f of 3 will be equal to 3f of 1, and so on. You can see here, if this function will be an onto function, if this function is an onto function, all the values, this is 1, 2, 3, and so on, and natural numbers. Correct? Now, if f of 2, if you map f of 3, if you take f of 3, f of 4, and f of n, you can see I can map any value. But if you talk about 1, if this function has to be an onto function, f of 1 has to be equal to 1, because other than this value, no value can have the value equal to 1. Understand this point, that 1 पे ही ऐसा value होगा, x is equal to 1 पे इसको 1 होना पड़ेगा. Otherwise, this function cannot be equal to 1, cannot be an onto function, right? Because इसके अलावा देखो कोई values possible नहीं है 1 का, f of 1 का, right? f of 1 का सिर्फ 1 possibility हो सकता है, बाकी कुछ possibility नहीं हो सकता है. ठीक है? I cannot have 2, because in that case f of x will be 2x, and we will have only multiples of 2, which will not be an onto function. I want an onto function here, right? So you can clearly see, if the function is onto function, f of 1 should be equal to 1. That means fx will be equal to x. So you can see option 2 is also correct option. That is, this is not the correct answer. Now let's move to f of gx. Okay, so now see, what is f of gx? What is the concept of composite function? So now let's move to the option A and option D, right? So we have, let's say this is function. We have to comment on f of gx. All right, this is first option, and you can see option 4 also, f of gx. What is the meaning of f of gx? You can see this is, let's say, gx function, and in function f you are putting f. This is giving you f of gx. Correct? I am not drawing other things. You understand this. In f you are putting gx value, then you are getting f of gx. Now see, if g is onto, this function g is onto, then f of gx is 1, 1 function. But see, if gx is onto function, and let's say this is a many one function. For example, consider this. G, we don't know what is g function. For example, consider this. I'm just explaining you the concept here through the diagram. You can see here, let's say this is one function g, which is a many one function, and this is an onto function. You can see g is an onto function, but this is many one function. And now you see, if I say f of gx, so this will be mapped to this, this will be mapped to this, this will be mapped to this. Correct? Let's say this is mapped to these elements here. This is natural set, and natural set. So can we say this function f of gx is a 1, 1 function? If this function g function is onto function? No, this is a many one function. You can see these two values are giving you the same value. That means this is not the correct answer. That this is statement is not true. That means Option 4 will be the answer. Let's take this option 1 also. If f of gx is 1 function, this you can see f of gx I want to be a 1 function, then g function has to be a 1 function. You can clearly see if this function has to be a 1 function, you can see if I take this case, let's say this is mapped to this, and this is the, you can see gx function is a 1 function and f of gx is a 1 function, right? And always remember, if f of gx is a 1 function, then this first function should be a 1 function and second function should be an onto function. This is the condition. This first function has to be a 1 function, second function has to be a onto function. So this is the correct answer. That means this is true statement, this is true statement, this is true statement, this is false statement. That means option 4 is the correct answer for this question. So I hope this question is clear. Again, this is some logical question. These are logical questions. Okay. So now let's take one more question here. Now again, see, A is a set 1 to 10 and f is defined from set A to set K. Okay. And f of k is equal to k plus 1 when k is odd, and f of k is equal to k if k is even function. Okay. Then the number of possible functions of g, आपको g function find करना है such that g of fx is equal to fx. This is the condition, that how many functions are there which satisfy this condition from A to B, and the options are 10 raised to 5, 5 factorial, 5 raised to 5. This is actually 10c5. This is 10c5. So how many functions can be defined? Now see, let's say if I say x is even. If I say x is even. Now if x is even, you can clearly see f of x will be equal to x only. Correct? So what is this? This is g of x will be equal to x. Correct? Because f of x will be equal to x when x is even function. Even, x is even value. Now if I say x is odd, then you can see here this will become, what is, if x is odd, what is f of x? F of x is k plus 1. So this will become x plus 1. Correct? And this is x plus 1. I hope this is clear. If x is odd, I have just taken this condition और उसको हमने इसमें put कर दिया. Correct? So g function, gx function, you can clearly see this is equal to x or x plus 1. Sorry, not x plus 1. This is gx is equal to x or gx is equal to x plus 1 depending upon x even, x odd. Now observe here. If I say x is even, then it's fine. If I say x is odd, you can clearly see this number will be even and this number will be even. You can clearly see if x is even odd, this is even and this is even. That means, let's say for example, if I put x is equal to 2, then g of 2 will be equal to 2. And if I put, let's say x is, for example, if I take x is equal to 2, just giving you some examples to understand this, g of 2 is equal to 2. Correct? If I put x is equal to 3, x is equal to 1, because we have to put odd number. So what is this? If I put x is equal to 1, I cannot put any even number here. So this will also give you 2. Correct? If I put, let's say x is equal to 4 here, x is equal to 4 in the first, then g4 will be equal to 4. And if I put x is equal to 3 here, this is x is equal to 3 here, this will be g4 will be equal to again 4. So basically, see, logically speaking, these two are same thing. This is mapping only even number. That means gx function for you can say gx function for all the numbers, even numbers, will be an even value. G of 2 will be equal to 2. G of 4 will be equal to 4. G of 5 will be equal to 5. G of 6 will be equal to 6. You can see. So now see, we have to find total number of functions g here. G mein we have one in domain set A we have 1, 2, 3 and so on 10. Here also we have 1, 2, 3 and so on 10. Now see, in how many ways I can map even numbers here. Understand this? In how many ways I can map even numbers? In how many ways I can map 2? So x is equal to 2 पे, this is function g, right? g2 will be definitely equal to 2, correct? So in how many ways I can map even number? Only one way. I can map 2 in one way, I can map 4 in one way, I can map 6 in one way, 8 in one way, 10 in one way, correct? We have till 10. So even numbers ke liye we have only one option. You can clearly see here, correct? From both we have mapped only even numbers. Now let's say if I take odd number, let's say I want to map x is equal to 1. Now x is equal to 1 ke corresponding I can have any option here, 1 to 10. Why? Because x is equal to 1 के corresponding इन्होंने कोई definition दिया ही नहीं है, correct? तो x is equal to 1 के corresponding I can have how many options? 10 options. Similarly, x is equal to 3 के corresponding odd number के corresponding how many options we have? 10. Similarly 10, similarly 10, similarly 10. 1 के corresponding 10 options, 3 के corresponding 10 options, 5 के corresponding 10 options, 7 के corresponding 10 options, and 9 के corresponding again we have 10 options of mapping. मतलब क्या हुआ? 1 can be mapped to any of the element, 3 can be mapped to any element, and so on. So what is the answer? Total number of functions will be 10 raised to 5, which is option 1 is the answer. Now again, little tricky question. Mains में काफी अच्छा question था. So I hope you have enjoyed these 3 questions which we have just discussed. Very interesting question basically. बहुत अच्छे questions थे. Observations on functions की clarity होना चाहिए इनके लिए, ठीक है? So next video में we'll continue with this type of questions which have appeared. Okay? So that's it for now. Thank you.